We all have different memories that stand out as favorites from our childhoods. Maybe it was your first taste of freedom as a kid, as you hopped on your bike and explored throughout the neighborhood and went on adventures with your friends. Maybe you remember going over to a friend's house with your action figures where you spent the afternoon together setting up big, epic battles. Or if you were like my wife, maybe it was playing with Smurfs and Cabbage Patch Kids or Strawberry Shortcake dolls. Or maybe it was both. Maybe it was the anticipation of spending your hard-earned allowance on candy or trading cards and comic books. Maybe it was the thrill of bombing down your first big hill on your skateboard or going to the skate park and dropping in for the first time. Yeah, or maybe it was getting up super early on a Saturday and spending the whole morning watching cartoons. Hi, I'm Matt, and for me, it was pretty much all of that and more. Welcome to the Nostalgic Neighborhood. Okay, so let's start off this first episode on the right foot. When I was a kid and I would have a new friend and I would go visit their house for the first time, one of my favorite things to do obviously was go check out their room with them and see all their cool stuff. So I figured we could do something similar here. So this isn't exactly my bedroom, but it's my home office. It was my oldest daughter's, this was her bedroom. She moved out about the time the pandemic started and I ended up working from home. So I needed a dedicated office space, so I kind of moved into her old bedroom. And so this is now my office. It's still, got a bed in here, so it's still, she's welcome to come visit whenever she wants. But I've definitely made it more of a space of my own. So I guess let's kind of look around and I'll show you some of the cool stuff I've got in here. Okay, so welcome to my room. I'll give you a quick little pan around, just kind of get a lay of the land, and then maybe we'll home in and pick a couple things for show and tell. Maybe we'll start over here on the left side. So this bookcase has a bunch of old toys and memorabilia. Star Wars has been part of my life as long as I can remember. I did see it in the theater when I was little, the A New Hope. But these ones are actually I started getting in college. These were from the mid-90s or so, some reproductions. These are actually all of my wife's Smurfs. I've got an old sticker book back there, a He-Man. These were my toys, the G.I. Joe guys. These were my lunch boxes from when I was a kid. I've got a couple Star Wars, Return of Jedi, Empire Strikes Back, a Pac-Man. I've got a couple more like Garfield or whatever in the basement. Most of these sticker packs or trading card packs I've picked up in the last couple of years. Some of my old skateboarding stuff. This was my helmet from when I was a teenager back in the day. I skateboarded a lot back in those days. I did have a original Rodney Mullen freestyle deck back in the day. Ended up selling that on eBay for a lot of money like 20 years ago. I wish I had kept it, but that's a reproduction. I guess maybe a couple more of the skateboards. This one here on the left was my very first kind of pro level skateboard. I had some cheapos through the years growing up, but that was my first pro one. And then the one on the right is a reproduction, but it's like 15 years old now. But that was my second skateboard, a Kevin Staub. And a couple skateboards later, I had a Mike Vallely. I loved that one. This is a new one I got last year. Got some reproduction Santa Cruz speed wheels on there. These are original OJ2 wheels from back in the day. Got some fun stickers on these. Got the OG slime balls on these. This is a huge poster, 4x8. It's made out of vinyl. I actually took this picture a few years back out in Palm Springs, California. Eddie Alguera had a Legends event with tons of old school skaters, and I got a chance to meet a bunch of them. Comic books, these are just a few. These are all original from my childhood. I was never into the superhero as much as things like, Mad Balls. I loved these. I wish my mom hadn't sold my Mad Balls in garage sale when I was a kid. G.I. Joe, I loved G.I. Joe. I had tons of G.I. Joe guys. They're probably still buried in the backyard. Battle of the Planets, I loved this cartoon when I was a kid. Like most kids my age, I loved Garbage Pail Kids. These are all of my original Garbage Pail Kids from back in the day. I used to, every week with my buddies, we'd get our allowance and hop on our bikes and ride across town to the dime store and pick up candy and Garbage Pail Kids. And these are just random other trading cards from my childhood. These are all from when I was a kid. I've kept them all. I loved all these wacky packages. Ernest P. Worrell, this was actually mine when I was a kid too. I love that Ernest Goes to Camp movie. some vintage prints of vintage BMX at Upland Skate Park out in California, I believe. When I got into the later 80s and early 90s, music became pretty much of an obsession of mine. I loved like 80s alternative, like new wave, college rock type of stuff. So I've got a bunch of records from that era, as well as a bunch of old records from when I was a kid, and some of them were my parents. Fun turntable. Sticker from my daughter. She's got a YouTube channel about virtual reality. You should check it out. Oh, these are some of my prized possessions. These were Grateful Dead tickets from the mail order. Got to see them quite a few times back in the day. But yeah, that's kind of a highlight. I'll probably be going through a bunch of this stuff more as time permits. But yeah, this is it. This is my room. Oh, candy. Yeah, vintage candy. Or I guess reproductions of vintage candy. So these were some of my favorites back in the day. Okay, so thanks for hanging out with me today. This first episode is really meant to be more of an introduction with a few teasers and highlights of where we're headed on this journey together. If you enjoyed it, please consider hitting the subscribe button, maybe liking the video. Stay tuned. I've got a lot of cool content coming your way. Really excited. I've got a Hutch Trickstar, a 80s Hutch Trickstar, a pink frame and fork reproduction on order. It's been about a year and a half that I pre-ordered it. Should be arriving soon, and so the next couple of videos I'll probably be highlighting that and starting the build for it. So stay tuned. So thanks again for hanging out, and bye-bye.